Hello, what's up, and welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic. And today we're talking about the 20th anniversary of Wimbledon. This movie, I caught this on Netflix. It had audio description with, stars Paul Bettany, Kirsten Dunst, and Sam Neill. For my blind audience, I do have a purple hat on backwards, and I'm wearing a Guardians of the Galaxy t-shirt today. So absolutely nothing that has any relation to this film at all. But one of the reasons I really wanted to jump in on this as an anniversary release is this has been the year for tennis with Challengers. Challengers has really gotten people hot and bothered. Hot and bothered. And it's always possible MGM doesn't have, Amazon slash MGM doesn't have really anything to campaign other than the Nickel Boys, which is sort of a very specific type of film shot in first person perspective. I'm not being like, are you saying it's a black movie? No, I'm not. It's shot from first person perspective. I don't know if you know that. If you haven't seen Nickel Boys. So it's just going to be something that is, it either works or it doesn't work for people. So Challengers is something that could come back around because it was well liked and well reviewed, and they could try to make a run for some nominations with Challengers. I don't think it'll happen for Challengers, but if Zendaya surprised with a Best Actress nomination, maybe. So the last time a tennis movie really caught my attention, I think, was with Wimbledon. I was one of the only people who I really liked Wimbledon back in the day. This didn't do that much money at the box office. I don't think. I think if we're asking the question, like I do with most anniversary releases, which is, has it stood the test of time? I think that the answer here would be no. I don't think most people know what Wimbledon is. I don't think it hit Netflix and people were like, oh my God. It is a film that could, I think it's a good enough film that it could be discovered and really taken, and people could fall for it. Like a pretty simple, easy, chill rom-com. I don't think that there's anything inherently wrong with it. Jon Faverau also pops up here as an agent. So what is it? Paul Bettany plays a tennis star who basically tennis didn't fully work out for him. The highest he was ever ranked was 11th in the world, and now he's like 119th or something like that. Some really ungodly low rating, but he somehow nabs a wild card spot at Wimbledon. And so basically nobody expects him to do anything to win. But then he starts winning. And at the same time he starts winning, he notices this young up-and-coming tennis star, played by Kirsten Dunst. It's really unclear if where, like, is she American? Because her dad is played by Sam Neill, who didn't exactly get rid of his accent. So there isn't like a lot of backstory about like where they lived and why dad has an accent and why Kirsten Dunst does not, where they live now. Like not a lot of those questions just aren't answered. They're just sort of like, dad has an accent, daughter doesn't, which is fine and useful in America, but it means dad is from somewhere. So, but it's one of those things. The movie just she never has enough time to, I guess, give us exposition about what she does other than this. But basically, from the moment we meet her, she is very forward. She's very frisky from the from the moment. She's assertive. She knows what she wants, and she wants Paul Bettany. And as do most women, you know, they look at Paul Bettany and they're like, So, and they do. I mean, would say the age gap is addressed slightly by the fact that Paul Bettany mentions the fact that this is going to be his last Wimbledon. He's going to retire afterwards. So it's a way of saying that he's older. That he's at the end of the line. It is sort of like the his final career is to like hopefully win Wimbledon and then retire on top. So we get to see the two of them sort of climbing the ranks of the women's side and the men's side of the tennis tournament, while they are also hooking up and developing a very special bond. Usually she likes to do it just for fun. She thinks it helps her. Her dad obviously disagrees, but it's really hard to stop her daughter from doing things, and he just sees it as like a distraction. But he's not oblivious to it. But he's not a big fan of Paul Bettany hanging around. He knows what they're doing to his little girl. He doesn't like it. So it's a light, easy to take movie about two people who don't think they're going to fall in love, but then they fall in love, and set against the backdrop of tennis. Paul Bettany has some interesting inner monologues. His family's quirky. Some of the side characters, we don't really develop a lot of them. Like at one point he has to play his sparring partner or whatever. I don't know what they call it, practice partner, who's a good friend of his. And they don't really play that up because we don't really know him that well. So it's not something that the film really ever invested that much time in. So it's not one of those moments where we get to it and we're like, oh no, now these two have to face off. Oh God, he's got to face his best friend. I never felt that. I was just like, oh, so that guy's his best friend? Cool. Welp. His screen time hasn't suggested that, so we're just going to move through this round. It might be a little obvious, like the direction in which it's headed, except for the fact that what I would say is that there are two of them. And so you're wondering, like, how cheesy is this movie? Are they both going to win Wimbledon? Is one of them going to win Wimbledon and then have to support the other? Like, there are options here. And so I do find Wimbledon interesting still today. It's a film I actually own on DVD. So it was nice to revisit it and take another path down the lane. I always love tennis movies. Are great for sound design. Like when you want to talk about like the sound, which is one of the reasons why I would love for challengers to be recognized in sort of like editing and sound design, is because those tennis sequences, you drop the sound out and then the balls are going back and forth, and like you can hear pin drop, like the audience is just like so silent for that many people, and you're thinking like there's got to be like some electricity making noise or something somewhere, but it's always like pin drop silence, and you just hear the ball going back and forth on the court. And I don't even like tennis, but to me that's interesting, that's intriguing. It's like how everyone can be so quiet. It's like no one's breathing, and they're just listening to the ball go back and forth. And I think that's great. And Challengers does the same thing. Between the two movies, Wimbledon makes me happier. Challengers has kind of a different vibe to it. It's a little bit more of an obsessive vibe. With Wimbledon, he's not really that obsessed with winning. And she's not pushing him the same way Zendaya pushes the boys in Challengers. So this is more of a just like we're having some fun. They don't really comment much on each other's game. They support each other, but they don't really, they're not pushing the other one to the extreme limits. So Challengers just has a different vibe. It doesn't mean that Challengers is a bad movie. I like Challengers as a film, but as a easier to take movie, Wimbledon is something that just, it feels more like comfort food. I think Challengers is probably technically the better film, but Wimbledon is something that gets overlooked a lot, and I wanted to talk about it because I think 20th anniversary, it's already not holding up. I don't think 20 years later most people know this movie exists. So if I don't mention it, then nobody will watch it. Got to keep talking about it because I think this film has already faded in 20 years, which is sad, but that happens. It happens. I think this film is known to Paul Bettany fans and Kirsten Dunst fans. And that's probably about it. Some people are going to see this review and be like, oh yeah, I did see that movie. Yeah. Well, I bought the DVD, so I've seen it a couple times. Anyway, it's nice. It's fine. The audio description is pretty good. What is it? Iudo that does this. So it's nice and it's properly British. Which is, yeah, it's fine. Basically, everybody in the film is, except Jon Faverau and Kirsten Dunst, is British. So that's it. Those are my thoughts on Wimbledon. I think you should check it out if you haven't ever seen Wimbledon. It doesn't feel old. It doesn't feel ancient yet. 20 years hasn't really hit Wimbledon. It doesn't feel like it's outdated. So I'm going to give Wimbledon a B+. It's not quite like a Desert Island movie. It's not my favorite romantic comedy of all time, but I do think it's a romantic comedy I enjoy watching every time, and it's a nice, easy watch. It's not very long, and it's cute. So thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the other side.